Hi, Dr. Paul Haider here. I want to tell you a true story about a man who, in his early childhood, well, actually later on, about 8, 10 years old, he ended up becoming uh, disabled and not able to walk. And so he was in a wheelchair most of his life. And for 50 years, 50, not 15, 50 years he was in a wheelchair. And at that point, it takes a toll on a person's mind, body, and spirit to be, in a wheelchair for years and years. And I know when I fell and broke my foot, I mean, it was tough. I was in a wheelchair for a while too. Not easy. And so finally, one day when he was an adult, he decided he was going to go see John of God because he really wanted to be able to walk. And he finally made his way there. He actually lived in the southern part of Brazil, and his name was Raul. And so he made his way to Abadiânia, which is where the Casa of John of God is, and he finally got in line. You go to the posadas, the little hotels there, and you stay, and they have wonderful food there. And he finally rolled himself down to get in line to see John of God. And actually, John of God came out that day, and he was doing some healing work with other people. And well, he had done some scraping on one lady's eye to remove an eye tumor, and another person had some kind of paralysis, and it made an incision on that person's back, and didn't bleed, but all of a sudden they were able to bend over and move and everything. And then it came his turn, and he just started bursting into tears. And then they brought him up there, and John of God asked him, "What would you do if you could walk?" And he couldn't answer. He was just in, the state of wondering if he will ever walk again, and having great faith, but at the same time, he'd been there in that wheelchair for 50 years, and it's a tough thing to get over what our minds are telling us, and to understand that all things are possible if we only believe. And again, through the translator, the John of God asked him, what would you do? What would you do? What would you say if you could walk? And all of a sudden, he just really started bawling at that point, and he said, I would be so extremely happy. And then John of God bent down and just grabbed a hold of his left left ankle, and he could feel this warmth coming up his ankle, it went into his foot, up in his ankle, up to his knees, up all the way up into his hips, and it was just like a huge energy that was moving through him. And then he said, "Twist and move your leg." And then all of a sudden, he couldn't move his legs at all before, and all of a sudden he could twist and move his leg. And then John of God went over to the other ankle and grabbed a hold of it, and the same thing happened. And warmth of energy just moving into his foot and up his ankle and up into his calf and up into his leg. And he said, "Twist and move this leg." And he did. And but after being in fact 50 years in a wheelchair, all the joints start to calcify, and he thought, "There's no way I'm going to be able to walk." It was absolutely impossible for me to walk. And then John of God said, "Stand up." And he said, "I can't." And he said, No, you can stand up." And all of a sudden, he with help, he was able to stand up, and then the helpers let go, and he was standing. And then John of God said, "Now start walking." So he took a couple steps, which he had never done in his whole lifetime before. And everything changed at that point. Outside the main meeting hall, they have these two sets of parallel bars, and one is very low and the other one's a little higher. So one's made for children and the other one's made for adults. And Very interesting. A lot of people, you see an amazing display of crutches and braces of people who couldn't walk that ended up walking later. And with the help of John of God or the entities that work through John of God, because he's really in a full trance and he's really not there. And it's the entities that are doing the work and healing people of their maladies of all kinds. And it's just amazing. It goes beyond our rational understanding of all things. And we don't, a lot of people don't even believe in this type of healing. And I have to say, I have seen healings before, but I had never seen anything like this. And so this man ended up staying there for about 6 months. He didn't plan on that, but he ended up staying there for about 6 months and getting stronger. He actually gained weight. He was kind of like skin and bones when he went there. And he gained weight and was able to start walking and became normal. And finally, after 6 months, he did go home. But he came back on a regular basis to John of God to pay homage more than anything else, because he could see the great miraculous healings that were taking place and understand the power of the entities, and that the fact that we only see the tip of the iceberg. This is this life, which is where we're supposed to learn lessons so that we can gain in our understanding in heaven. And it says in my Father's house there are many mansions. And there are different levels to heaven also. And we can go there, and we come here to learn and do good things in order to advance ourselves on that plane. And so this is what we're all about. We're all about this healing. In fact, I had a man this morning contact me, and he was saying, are there bad people there? And I said, no. I'm telling you, it was the most peaceful, amazing little village I've ever been in. There is a great feeling of peace in that place. And he said, are some people not healed? And I have to say, some people are not healed. In fact, I had this one lady from Brazil herself. She was from Brazil. She said, I never got healed there. Well, it takes our faith also, They have a little triangle. In fact, I'm wearing one right now as a necklace. And on one side is love, and the other side is faith, and the bottom is charity. And we have to have love, we have to have faith, and faith is one of the most important aspects of the whole thing. And charity, it's giving to ourselves and others. And so we have to take that love, faith, and charity and give that love to ourselves, give that faith to ourselves, and faith to the entities, and give in charity to ourselves first, so that we can make these miraculous healings happen. The entities do their work, but if we don't believe it, nothing will happen. Even a doctor, if you don't believe that what they're doing is going to heal you, you're not going to get healed. And the studies have been done showing that. So it's really important that we have this great faith and this great love, this great peace inside, that things will happen. I remember, in fact, I'll end the story, that he ended up being healed, and he lived the rest of his life being able to walk. And I remember walking up to the healing triangle. They have a huge triangle in the main meeting room. And it's a big triangle, and you just put your head in the middle, and you put your arms on the sides. And I just burst into tears. And it was powerful, I have to say. I could just feel the energy moving through me. And at that point, I knew that everything was real. Absolutely everything. A lot of it I didn't understand, because they have one person who speaks in English, another person who speaks in Portuguese, another one person speaks in German, and they have somebody that speaks in French also. And they take turns, because otherwise everybody talking over each other wouldn't be good. And it's kind of hard to hear in the back if we're in the back of the hall also. But so I just was sitting there meditating. And they also like you to not cross your arms or not cross your legs, because that doesn't allow the flow of energy moving through you. And so if they see somebody with their arms crossed, their legs crossed, they ask you to, stop that so that you can allow the energy to flow through you. And I think that's a good process in life in general. I mean, if you talk about qigong medicine, you talk about, tai chi energy. That energy needs to move through us, and then when we cross things, we keep that energy from flowing into us. And the energy does flow into us. There's no doubt about it. And now, after taking the herbs for a couple more days, now it would be 40 days. Great things have happened. I have to say, I have seen great things in other people happen. One of our friends, which we brought herbs back for, and put them in the healing triangle, and actually gave their picture to John of God. And he's actually had high blood pressure, and he had arthritis in his back with terrible back pain, and it totally disappeared. And that's one of our actually relative friends. We have a lot of distant relatives in our extended family here, and he's totally healed. So amazing things can happen. In fact, I have a lady from some close to London, which is going to be going. Another man from Africa, which is going to be going. Both of these have kidney disease, and they're going. In fact, one was getting their tickets yesterday, and I know they're going to be healed of the kidney disease, and they will be fine. They have amazing faith, great faith, and that's what it takes. And I saw amazing things happen. I saw people with tumors on the side of their face disappear in a week, and things that I couldn't even explain rationally. It goes beyond our rational understanding of everything and anything in our lives. And I highly recommend that you go. I recommend the first time you go with a guide, because otherwise I would have been lost. After a while, and you really need to go for 2 weeks, because it goes by just like that. And there's this healing process. You're going into the medium rooms, and you're doing meditation for 3 or 4 hours at a time. The other times you're going to do into surgeries or voluntary surgeries or seeing John of God. So everything is happening every day, and it's an amazing process. You get very little time off, to tell you the truth. You're always busy, and powerful things are happening, and it's a great place of peace. Actually, I had to ask my wife to go, because she really wasn't thrilled about the whole process, to tell you the truth. And now at the end she says, we got to go back. Who knows? And for sure we're going back. We're going to go back, and hopefully next year, and make our pilgrimage. And it is a pilgrimage, and we hope to go to Medjugorje and Fatima and Lourdes and a lot of the other places also. And we'll keep you posted as our travels unfold, and let you know about the great healings, and also the great understanding of that which is all-pervading love. And great things will happen for you and for us, and hopefully it'll increase your faith and your love, and increase the quality of your life by understanding that you're not alone. You've never been alone. But you just have to have some great faith. And as St. Ignacio de Loyola said, you have to do everything as though everything depends upon you, and then trust in God as though everything depends upon God. And I think that's really great. We'll have a wonderful, wonderful day. And keep your mind focused on God. And I'll say this again, my dad, God bless his soul, every time we'd walk out the door, he would say, remember God. And I highly recommend you do that too. Remember God. If you care to make a donation or subscribe or want to get a hold of me, everything is down below. I love you.